Once you dread potential danger, you are bound by fear. Now, you can choose your own level of fear, from caution to phobia, from dread to paranoia. In this corporate-powered world, fear is the only enemy. Face the enemy. Face the enemy.